Hello, everyone. It is Pal Ponder on Weather coming to you with another update. And this time it's the Alaska winter outlook for 2019-2020. After I did my U.S. outlook, I had a lot of requests about you guys forgot about us in Alaska. I said, no, I didn't. So I decided to make a special video just for you. If you like weather related content, please consider subscribing to my channel. So let's kind of delve right into it. So here's kind of an overall snapshot. I put together a really nice graphic for you guys to kind of depict on how I think this winter is going to play out. Meteorologically, winter is essentially from December 1st all the way to February 29th this year. Yes, there is a leap year in there, so there's 90 days of winter. So here's an overall snapshot of how I think it's going to play out. So I think it's going to be more or less above normal temperatures, more precipitation, as well as more snowfall than what you're used to. All right. So we'll go back and let's figure out why this is going to transpire. All right. So here's the overall ocean temperatures as of August 31st. All right. You see the Enzo neutral pattern started. We were in El Nino. That was in February 14th. Then the Enzo neutral pattern started on August the 8th. And so that more or less flipped the waters. And so it kind of elevated the waters to above normal temperatures in the Northwest. And that's why I think a lot of the Northwest territories are going to be above average. And these above normal temperatures are going to play a key role in the Alaska temperatures coming up, which they've already have, where you're experiencing those 75 days of above normal temperatures. And I think that actually continues all the way into fall in the winter months. All right, so here is the overall the Climate Prediction Center. There's a 55% chance the Enzo neutral pattern taking place, continuing all the way through fall, all the way through winter. And it kind of lowers a little bit as we get into December, January, February. But there's still, like I said, a 55% chance of that happening all the way through the winter months. There's only about a 30% chance that a La Nina pattern is going to take place, and about a 40% chance that an El Nino pattern is going to take place. So it's more prevalent that this Enzo neutral pattern stays true all the way through the winter months. So here I took back the last, essentially from 1960, of all the analog years of Enzo neutral years and how it corresponded and how it played out. And so these analogs play a key role in the weather patterns and the ocean temperatures. You can see some of these analogs back from 2014, 2015, 2013, 2014, 12, 13. Those are all 8, 9, 5, 2003, 2004. There's all the way back. This goes all the way back in the 1960, 93, 94, 92, 93. And I'll show you later how this is going to transpire for you guys in Alaska back in 82 and even down back in 78, 79, with some of the colder years. Now here is something that doesn't really get talked about a lot. It's the sunspots. You can find this data on spaceweather.com. But right now we're in cycle 24 of the solar minimum, and this has played a huge role for you guys in Alaska, where basically the jet stream dips, the ridge rises, so it locks the ridge in place, gives you guys above normal temperatures with high latitude blocking. So the last solar minimum, solar cycle 24, started January in 2009. So it cycles every 11 years. So right now, it's still continuing, and it's not expected to bottom sometime in January 2020, and some say actually June of 2020. So you can actually see the last 24 days have been spotless. So, and 168 days. So this also somewhat almost matches the 2009 analog. All right. So here's the Climate Prediction Center of how they think winter is going to play out, where it shows those above normal temperatures kind of filtered into the Aleutian Islands. In the central part of the country, of the state, they think that's not going to be as warm, but they pretty much, the consensus is for the entire state above normal temperatures. And then as far as the precipitation goes, with that above normal water vapor from that elevated ocean temperatures think it's going to be above normal precipitation from the Climate Prediction Center. Now here is I took a snowfall map, and you remember the analogs back I showed you on a couple slides ago. Here is Fairbanks, Alaska, and this is all the way of the last 101 years of data. Do you remember 1992 was in there? That was one of the analogs that had abundant amount of snow. 2014, 2015. I know in 2015 was one of my big analog years. That year, and actually the first snowfall was September 26. It snowed 6.7 inches. It was probably the third snowiest winter on record all the way through November, and ended up being pretty much above average that year. But you can notice a lot of those analog years were in the top 20 of above average snowfall. So the odds of you having more snow than you usually do are a lot greater this year. All right, even though you're going to be warmer. But we all know in Alaska, it only takes 32 degrees of snow, and your average temperatures are well below that. Here is your wind chill map for Fairbanks. So as you can see, back in 2015, where your average wind chill out of those 90 days was about 7 degrees below zero. All right. And then back in some of my other analog years, 2013, 2014, it was a couple degrees below zero. But that just kind of give you an idea. I know 95, 96 was in there, about 20 to 15 degrees below zero. These are average wind chill. And so you've experienced many winters a lot colder than that. So it's going to be milder to Alaskan standards. So here's a phenomenon that happens every year. A lot of people don't really know about this. Back in up the highest point in Alaska was Barrow, Alaska, and they actually renamed it to a name I can't unfortunately pronounce, so I apologize for that. But the sun actually sets around November 20th every year, and it doesn't rise again until January 30th. So those 65 days, essentially, the sun does not crest above the horizon. So it's not exactly total darkness. You just don't have a sunrise. So for those 65 days in Barrow, Alaska, you guys actually don't see the sun, and it never crests above the horizon. So let's kind of delve into the map now. So like I said, this is my overall summary and how I think Alaska is going to play out. So we'll zoom in region by region, and we'll go over a lot of the details. So I point out Barrow, which is formerly that other name that I can't pronounce, so I apologize. So you guys up in Barrow average 38 inches of snowfall a year. And the average low out of those 90 days of winter is 18 degrees below zero, and the average high is 5 degrees below zero. So when I say warmer than normal, it's going to be warmer than those temperatures, all right? So I'm thinking those dry Arctic blasts are going to come from Siberia, and it's just going to be dry Arctic air, which I think, Arctic air is the driest air. And so for you guys standards, when you average 38 inches of snowfall a year, I think overall for this upper region, it's going to be warmer, drier, with less snow than normal. Okay, so if we swing to down to the Bethel region on the left side of Alaska, it's like, for example, Bethel averages 62 inches of snowfall a year, and their average low is 2 degrees over those 90 days, and the average high is 15 degrees. So when I say it's not as cold, well, it's not going to be as cold as the parts in central Alaska that I think we'll get to next, but it's going to have a lot less precipitation than what I think central Alaska is going to have. So it's not going to have that feed loop off the Aleutian Islands of that warm southwest flow as much as the central part of Alaska. So let's go to the central part of Alaska right now, where I think out of the whole entire state, it's going to be the snowiest, the wettest, as well as the coolest. All right. So, for example, Fairbanks, Alaska averages 65 inches of snow a year, and their average low is 14 degrees below zero, but the average high is 9 degrees, versus Anchorage, just a tad bit further south, they average more snow because they're closer by the water, more water vapor, right? They average 79 inches a year. their average low is 12 degrees. So they're farther away from the Arctic, and their average high is 25 degrees. So as this southwest flow overrides that kind of a wetter air, you'll have, I'm thinking, more abundant snowfall. So when you're averaging 79 inches of snowfall in Anchorage a year, I'm thinking it's going to be above that, into the 90 and the 100 and the 110 range. I know in Fairbanks, you're averaging 65 inches a year, and you saw that top analog year of 1992, which was 147 inches. That's the all-time record out of the whole 101 years. I don't think we get quite that bad, but I do think we'll be elevated into the 80, 90, and 100-inch range this year. It's going to start early and end late. And what I mean by starting early, starting in late September and go all the way deep into April and some parts of May, okay, with the snowfall. Now, so let's swing over to the Juneau region, where I think it's going to be milder than usual. But when I say milder than usual for Alaska standards, for example, Juneau averages 80 inches of snowfall a year. They average 12 degrees as their low temperature out of those 90 days, and the average high is 23 degrees. So I'm thinking they're not going to get as much as that warm flow. So it's going to be a little bit warmer than the central part of Alaska, but it's not going to be as warm as Barrow, Alaska is. And I'm also thinking they're going to have less snow than the central part of Alaska, but less snow means they're averaging 80. that they might get, but I still think they're going to get above average snowfall, but just not as much as above. So instead of 80 inches a year, I'm thinking 90 to 100 inches. So it's still, for Alaska standards, you're still going to get 7 or 8 inches of snow, 7 or 8 feet of snowfall this year over winter. So that's kind of an overall summary of how I think Alaska is going to play out this winter. I appreciate you guys tuning in. It'd be fun to comment on this page and let me know where you're actually watching this video from. So please comment the city and state, and please share this with your Alaska friends. And I appreciate you tuning in, and catch me at the next video when I protect you before and after the storm.